Okay, so we're going to talk about measuring angles with a protractor. Now, most teachers use half-circle protractors and not the full-circle protractors. However, you can buy them that look just like this, and especially when you're looking at reflex angles, those are easy to use, but most teachers don't do it. Let me just say a little thing about protractors. If you are the first teacher who introduces using protractors with students, I would suggest that every single person in the classroom has the same protractor. At the beginning of the year, or even now, they're not that expensive. If you have a classroom set, that's ideal. That way you can buy all of them the same. If you want the students to buy one, I would tell them exactly which one to buy, where it is, how much it is, and give them some time to buy it. So, because as I talk about it, there will be different little pieces, and if this is the first experience with a protractor with elementary students, they may be totally confused. Now, you don't have to answer this question. But every semester I have a handful of students who have never used a protractor. Is there anyone in here who has never used one? And it's okay, it's not your fault. Okay, well, no one's admitting it, but let me just tell you that if you haven't, it's okay. It's the fault of the teacher because he or she should have shown you how to use it. So this may be quick, this may be slow. If you have a protractor that has a hole at the bottom, typically, that hole has a perpendicular, a vertical and a horizontal line right at the hole. The hole is where the vertex goes of the angle. If your protractor doesn't have a hole, like if you have one that looks like this, and it has the little legs on it, there's a little itty-bitty vertical line that forms a perpendicular with this edge. Right there is where the vertex goes. Okay? If you have this one has a vertical line with a horizontal, and there's a little dot there, I think, yes. And that's where the vertex goes. So you've got to know what your protractor looks like and how you've got to line it up. Most protractors have 2 rows of numbers. Some of them only have 1 row of numbers. So if that is the protractor that you're using, you need to make sure that the students understand that. All right, so I'll tell you what I do. What I typically do when I have you measure angles on a test or a quiz, I'm going to measure it precise, exact. That's the answer. However, I know that sometimes you get the protractor and you're in a hurry or something and it lays funny and you don't get the exact answer. I'm going to give a range, 3 above and 3 below, and you've got to fall within that range to get it right. So if it's actually 90 degrees and you give me anywhere from 87 to 93, it's going to be right. If you give me 94, I'm sorry, but I've got to cut it off somewhere. All right? So I'm just going to go through here real quickly. And so here's my vertex. I have a protractor that has a hole right there, so it's in the hole. Now, do you notice that this other ray on the angle does not come up very far? So I know a lot of people will go, well, okay, it's about that. My suggestion to you is before you measure, go ahead and extend one of the rays so that when I line it up, I don't have to guess, but I know that it is right there. Now, I want you all to look at this for a second because now I have to make a decision. It looks like it's either 55 or 124. Well, which one is it?
55.
Why is it 55?
Because it's an acute angle, not obtuse.
Exactly, and that's, at this point, we should have already talked about acute, obtuse, straight, reflex angles, all of that. So I would make the students name it. Tell me what kind of angle this is. And hopefully they'll say, oh, that's acute. So then they know to go with the 56-degree angle. Because if they don't associate that that's an acute angle, then they're debating, well, I don't know why you picked 56 and not 164. Does that make sense?
It's supposed to be 56 or 55.
I don't know.
Mine's 57. I got 57.
Okay, now remember what I said. I'm going to measure it accurately. And then I'm going to give you 3 degrees. So I'm getting 56. So if you give me 55 or 57, you're still right. As long as you give me between 59 and, what did I say, 56, 53, you're going to be correct. What's the difference in 1 and 2?
This is.
Okay. If you look, 1 and 2 almost look identical. Are they? I didn't even have measured them yet. I mean, I just drew them. But if you're given an angle like number 1 and there's nothing identified as to what angle you're measuring, typically you're talking interior. If another angle is to be measured, you'll get something like number 2. And I'm telling you on number 2, this is the angle I'm looking for. All right? So, how can you measure that? Because you can't do it with, you can't get a full number with this protractor. Okay, so you said measure, let's extend this. And I'm not wearing my glasses and I'm looking down on this far away, so I could be a little off on this, but I'll wear my glasses and make sure that I'm very accurate when I do the quiz or the test. So this one looks like it is 56 degrees again. Okay, so you said measure that and then do something. What was that do something?
Subtract it from 365.
Subtract from
360.
why 360?
It's a full circle.
Okay, because if I do this, we have a full circle, and we've already talked about circles being 360 degrees. So if I take this piece out of the circle, that leaves what's left. What kind of an angle is this? It is a reflex angle. So we know it has to be between 180 and 360. So if we subtract 56 from the 360, we're going to get what? Okay, 304 degrees. Now, that's not the only way to measure that.
What does that say? 360.
360 minus 56, sorry, I'm scribbling. I don't have my marker, which is 304 degrees. Did anybody do it differently? Should I show you different?
No, it's not right.
No, yeah? Okay, I've got a few yeses, so shut your ears if you said no. Let me just tell you that this here we know is what? 180 degrees. So if I measure this and I find out it's 56, if I subtract it from 180 degrees, that gives me this angle. Well, this one is already a full angle. I know that's 180, so you can add those two together.
Yeah, that is way for steps.
It is, but some people see that better. Like, that's what I would have done.
How
you gonna do?
But I know you all were saying, but you got to add and you got to subtract. Well, I don't really. I mean, I already know that, but it's just whatever.
So when you
What do you
see
see
that
first?
little symbol, that means
When you see what? This little symbol right here?
that means reflex angle. That means you take 360 minus whatever you measured.
I don't want to say that automatically means a reflex angle, because this is kind of a bigger angle, but that doesn't mean reflex. What kind of an angle is this one? Obtuse. So the arc just tells you what angle you're measuring. But in this case, because it's bigger than 180, yes, it is reflex. Did that?
Yeah.
Okay. Are we good? All right, what about number 3? Just, what is it? 90 degrees? I would count that one wrong, even though it's within my 3 degrees, because why?
Does it have a box?
It doesn't have a box. What did I tell you all? Unless it has this, and then that's not very straight, but unless it has that, you can't assume. It's actually 89 degrees, and I did that on purpose. Okay? So don't just look at it and say, oh, 90 degrees. I mean, it looks it, but we never assume unless that is there. Okay, real quick, let me just tell you, the reason I put number 4 on here is because a lot of people think that when you measure your angle, your protractor has to be perpendicular to the sheet for some reason. No, it does not. Okay, you can turn this thing. It's not, doesn't have to be this way. So I would just extend one of these lines, and then I would line it up this way. Okay? That's the only reason I put that one on there. Don't think that the protractor has to be perpendicular to the base of your sheet. What kind of angle is it? A what? Acute.
I'm not measuring this right.
You're not measuring it right? Okay, I'm getting 65.
And so I just bottom not in. I didn't do that. You lengthen this one, and then you line it up with the circle.
If you had extended the other line, how would you set the protractor on there?
And then you
Like
would
this?
just follow the line.
If this line was the one extended, I'd set it like this. Now, when you're doing this way, it's still fine. Here's your 60, and of course, I didn't do that with a straight edge, so we're not going to look at that because that's a different measurement. But if it was a straight edge, you just want to make sure that the vertex is in the hole or on the perpendicular or whatever your vertex symbol is on your protractor. And I can come to you if you need me.
Did you get 68?
I had 60.
Oh, yeah. See this line right here? Get 67. Yeah, line it up with the black line.
I got 66.
And then you go straight up. 68.
But as long as you're within 69 to 63, you're okay. It's going to vary on where you put that vertex in that hole. I mean, that hole has probably about 5 centimeters, 3 centimeters, not centimeters, millimeters, sorry. And then if the little hash mark here, if it's not exactly over, I mean, if it's even a little up, it's going to alter it. Angle 5 is a what kind? Obtuse. So we know it automatically should be between what and what? Between 90 and 180? Okay. So I'm getting 146. Yep, okay. And then look at number 6. When I find, you're asked to find 2 different measurements on number 6, an X and a Y. When I find X and Y, they should add together to get what? 360 because it's the full circle. So you could just measure X, subtract it from 360, and that gives you Y. You can check Y if you want to make sure, or you could do Y and then subtract and get the X. But you're wanting 2 different answers there on number 6. Questions?